Hey everybody, my name is Ethan and I'm excited to bring you the first episode of the Reset Fitness podcast. I'm here today joined by Tina Wade, who's the owner and founder of the company. We look at how accessible fitness is in our day-to-day lives and also look and talk about how she developed the concept from her personal experience. The podcast is going to start really soon, but in the meantime, please check us out on our social media channels.
This is Reset Fitness. Get fit for life.
Hello everybody, welcome to the first episode of Reset Fitness. My name is Ethan Matthews, I'm the operations manager at the company and I'm here with absolute pleasure of the owner and founder, Tina Wade.
Thank you so much.
A pleasure to have you today.
Thank you, Ethan. Yeah, fantastic. I'm looking forward to this.
Tina, tell us, to start off with, a little bit about your background and where Reset Fitness, the idea, the concept came from.
Why fitness? Yes, exactly. So actually I have to go back in time quite a lot now.
You're not that old.
Well, when I was 5 years old, I grew up in Germany, in the former eastern part of Germany, and I still remember when I was 5 years old, I was at kindergarten and we had sort of some little monkey bars there where you could climb along, and we were always asked to do some little rolls along the mats and climb along the monkey bars. And then a little while later I found myself in a gymnastics club, and as I grew older, I didn't know that obviously at the age of 5, but later on my mother explained to me that they actually were scouting in those days for the gymnastics, and really that's what I did from the age of 5 until 12.
What events did you specialise in?
No, it was all four. So
okay.
All four. So floor, high beam, horse, and bars. So we did all of those. There's a few stories I can tell you maybe during one of the other pods that from those times as a gymnast. But yes, I was so used to that. I grew up with it, and I did it. I left the house at 7 in the morning and would come home at 7 in the evening. And my mother, I asked her later, I said, did I ever complain? She said, never. I would have pulled you out, but I was happy there. And because it was my daily routine and it gave me structure and focus and discipline, I think that was a really big part actually. Unfortunately, I got injured, so I had a back injury by the age of 12, and the choice was, and we were at this stage competing at quite high levels. We were just about getting ready for Olympic levels, and unfortunately they told me I had to stop for 2 years and do part-time training, and after that time you cannot catch up with the rest of the team. So I was offered with an alternative sport, so I did ballroom dancing, and I was actually quite good at that. So managed to become best in the country in my class within 2 years. Unfortunately, I then had to move country and had to rethink again because circumstances changed and I couldn't really continue with the dancing. So I started horse riding. I don't know, random.
So 3 completely different.
Very different sports.
And I guess the stress on the body was different.
Yeah, very much so. Very much. I mean, the horse riding for me was more, there was no competition. I never entered competitions for that. That was really just for me to be able to ride and go on hacks, and I very much enjoyed that. And I still continue that for pretty much all my life, really. And then, forward a few more years, a few more country changes, and then I tried out tennis. I play golf. I quite I enjoy swimming as well. I wouldn't call myself a swimmer because I'm not big enough for that, but I quite enjoy that.
Have you ever done pentathlon?
No, but I could probably do that, couldn't I? But yeah, I think in terms of competition, that was really just gymnastics and dancing. But
interesting.
Yeah.
So how were all them experiences? Obviously, with Reset Fitness, have you brought all of your your kind of experiences together?
I would say, I would say, do you know, with Reset Fitness, what I've noticed for myself in the golf game, it's improved my game. Yeah, I think maybe, you know, the core strength,
rotational kind of
well,
movements?
the rotational movements that we do, but also just that explosiveness that you sometimes need for certain moves. You know, all of these things for me have improved my game. So it helped me to, because I don't really have a lot of time to play, and if you don't play very often, you struggle with your golf game. But for me, it really has helped in terms of the length of the drive and things like that.
I think you just mentioned about core then. That was quite interesting you've seen that, because that old mentality of, okay, I need to build my core is you need to do sit-ups, whereas that couldn't be further from the truth, right? Because your core is obviously your obliques, your lower back as well. So, you know, obviously utilising day-to-day activities or exercise into your routine, that's going to strengthen your core and actually give you probably a more chance of a six-pack than trying to do sit-ups on the floor. Right?
Very true, very true. I think your question was, how did it all come then to Reset Fitness? And I think for me, because of my background and that's been ingrained in me from a very young age, you know, to be healthy, to be fit, to be active. And I think that is what sort of like sparked that motion of creating a space, a concept, which would be really suitable to all levels. Because as you know, Ethan, there are so many different kinds of fitness operators out there. You know, you mentioned one earlier, which is CrossFit. You know, you've got your yoga studios, you've got your studios or gyms that where you can just go in and do your own thing. Although a lot of people wouldn't even go there, right? Because they don't know what to do. Maybe they sign up and then they never go, right? Because they haven't got that guidance. So we wanted to create something that is suitable to all fitness levels, and give that guidance along the way. And when we're saying all fitness levels, I'm also thinking all age levels, actually, right? For me, you know, obviously having gone through that experience from a very young age, I want my kids personally. I have two boys, and they are 13 and 16. They're very sporty. They're both footballers, but they've always been sporty because I think they've seen that, you know, from my side. So, you know, they want to be sporty. And
you know, that it's probably really interesting because you've got social media now, like TikTok, and you know, it's easy to find information about fitness now. Whereas, you know, when we were younger, we didn't have that accessibility. We learned it at school. Or a sports club or something like that. Whereas now you can be sat on the sofa and you can get some tips.
Yeah.
Some of it not great.
I was going to say, one needs to be very careful what kind of tip one accepts, right, or watches. So I think it's that educational thing that you need people to understand what to do and how to do the exercise correctly, because there's no point in doing an exercise if you're not using the right muscle groups, or you're doing it wrong and you end up hurting yourself, right? And that will hinder you to do anything for a long time. So
and then you have a bad emotional experience, and you never go back again.
Exactly.
Right? So,
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess over the last decade, for me, the perception of fitness and the understanding from an educational point of view has changed a lot. So when I was younger, well, as you know, like it was to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
You got to look like a certain way, and obviously Arnold was successful in his career, but then it moved to more of a functional fitness. So CrossFit became quite a big thing, and then Rich Froning, Matt Fraser, some of these big athletes. People thought to be fit, you had to follow these type of athletes.
Yeah.
But then COVID come along, and then that changed the whole demographic.
I think that's actually I was thinking that as well. That until COVID, we all sort of felt like it had to be this or that. So okay, you're into yoga, or you like to go on spinning classes, or you like boxing, so you would do all these things. But then COVID kind of shut everything down, and we were left with, what are we going to do now, right? And I think a lot of people realized that actually you can go back to basics. And I like basics. I like the functional exercises. I like what it does for your body, because it doesn't just train one part at the end of the day. You want your whole body.
It's definitely, it's that holistical approach, right? So no longer do you actually have to go into a gym space or a fitness environment. You can be active at home.
Yeah.
And I think, that's understanding fitness. You don't always have to be, it's a small part of the journey, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. And I think for me as well, even though now, obviously, thankfully, we're out of this COVID, it's taken people quite some time to get back into what they used to do before.
Why do you think that is?
I think probably, a bit of media, fear that, the fear that the media has put into people, about this and what it can do for you. But people also, as we know, it takes only about 90 days to change a habit, right? So COVID was almost 2.5 years, right? Sure. So that would have changed people's habits, and now we're basically asking them to change back, right? And I think maybe some people will have noticed, actually, what I used to do before, that wasn't any good, and they maybe have found a different way now to keep fit.
100%. And I guess that's the next topic, is what are people doing now to stay fit?
Yeah.
What are people doing now? Obviously, we've seen the rise of technology for home workouts, online workouts, wearables. Obviously, you have one today. Yeah. Why do you use yours, Tina?
I think it kind of keeps me accountable, right? I like to. I'm not so much about I have to burn X amount of calories, and if I don't, I'm gonna keep going. No, I'm not actually quite that extreme. But I like to be accountable. I like to be able to see, have I moved a decent amount today, or some. I set myself some goals, but they are usually achievable. I believe in achievable goals. We can all reach for the stars, but we all know they're quite far up. So I think for me, it's this is definitely helping me, although it tends to distract me as well.
On an interesting point, actually, I was reading the other day that millennials are more likely to use wearables, whether that be heart rate monitors, like Polar. Obviously, we use that in Reset Fitness. But obviously you've got Apple, Fitbit, Whoop, which is the new on the market. Yeah. But 46% of people want that quantifiable data. And you see everybody in day-to-day life wearing these trackable, whether they track their sleep, the heart rates, and these all quantifiable data can obviously push us in the right direction to a healthier lifestyle. Right?
Definitely. I guess for us at Reset Fitness, at the studio specifically, it helps us as well, right? Because it helps us to keep our clients on track. It helps us to help them set goals when we do activations, or just on a day-to-day basis as they come into the classes. The fact that the heart rate monitors are on screens, it helps us to push them a little bit harder, and for them to see themselves, am I doing enough, or could I maybe push a little bit more?
I think that's the key, is just making them aware.
Yeah.
We're not obviously doing the work for them, but making them more aware their start point and their finish point. And I guess I always say this to a couple of the members myself, is you have to have a start point. And it's like going into a foreign country without a map. You might get there in the end, it might take you some time, but it's always good to have a more structured approach, like a GPS system. You get there quicker, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Perfect. Could fitness be more accessible?
I think that is something that quite often we come up against with some of our members who travel a lot. So obviously they normally come to the gym, come to the studio, and that's where they do their workout. But and a lot of them are always at home, or they are local. They don't have to travel. But some people travel with work, and then the question always comes up: what am I going to do then? And now I'm going to be away for a week. So let's say they've made great progress. So how can we help them whilst they are away to still find time, to do something? But actually, they need to find the time, but we need to provide them with the tools, right? And that could just be a feature where they would be able to use our app and be able to choose a workout according to what they have available, whether this would be a pure sort of body weight workout, or if they are staying in a hotel where they have a gym, where they no doubt will have some equipment, they would maybe be able to choose what kind of equipment they have available, and a program will pop up for them.
What do you think that's happening at the moment in the market, especially when it comes to boutique studios? Is there any areas of concerns do you see? Because I certainly do. And when it comes to, especially like, we're going away from the smash and bash mentality where, 20% of the population, like me and you, we love to exercise. Yeah. It's ingrained in our system, but for the new people that exercise, they're coming into a new environment. It's a bit intimidating. Normally, bigger people in good shape, and they're being intimidated, and the dropout rates are high because of that.
Yes. So I suppose what we do very well at Reset Fitness is that we offer 2 different levels of intensity with our workouts. And that allows you to have an entry level into the workout, into the exercise, rather than just being given one type of exercise with very heavy weights, for example, and people will struggle and probably lose interest quite quickly. So with that approach, I think we are able to cover a bigger mass of people that, like you said, who would be intimidated by that. With the focus on the TV screens where you will see those exercises, I think it takes the focus away from other people in the room. So you don't feel that you are competing with the person next to you, but you are focusing, you're concentrating on your own pod, basically. So
you're still in that group environment, but you're working towards your own goal. So me and you could be on the same station.
We could be on the same station, exactly, and maybe we should do that next. But I think the other part is the coaches. I think our coaches play an integral part in guiding the clients, the members, to really achieve what they come to achieve. Because like we said, everybody's goals are different, everybody's shapes are different, everybody's fitness levels are different. So it's very important for us that we acknowledge all those different criteria and then work with the clients to achieve what they want to achieve.
I think that's an issue actually across the board when it comes to coaches. Some systems are really good, programs are really good, but a lot depends on the coach itself. And I've seen it so many times, new people to exercise going into a session and they're getting to do power cleans, overhead snatches, and they've never picked a weight up in their life. So injury rates, dropout rates.
I mean, you've done the coaching yourself, right? I mean, you will know how challenging it can be for a coach when you have a room. Let's say you've got 16 people in the room, and you've got all kinds of levels, right? I mean, what's your experience like? What do you do first? Like.
So that's a very good point. So I think that's another educational point that's happening in the market, is because there's more group classes happening at the moment. A group class instructor trainer is completely different to a personal trainer. And sometimes people think because they're a good personal trainer, they can automatically be a good group instructor. So the task is to obviously manage your time effectively. Prioritizing is number one, and that's a skill that we work with our coaches at Reset Fitness. We do regular workshops, not to necessarily police them, but to keep them continual development.
Yes, keep that consistency and also it's for us, it's coaching the coaches basically, isn't it? To make sure that they deliver what our concept is all about.
And it is a challenge when you've got some new people in the session, but again, it comes down to people management and taking that time to know your client. And I think that's where a lot of actually fitness brands fail at the first hurdle. For us is when that person walks through the door.
Absolutely.
That's when the session starts, correct? Yes. Or even take a step back when they log into the app and book a session.
Yes.
So what is the future? What's the future?
What's the future of fitness? Well, that is a very good question, and I'm not sure I know. You know, I think, but I'm curious to find out, because I think, in a way, we need to make sure that we create something that where people can have it at home, right? So I find, especially where we are based in Dubai, right? It's the convenience of everything is like nowhere else in the world, right? Everything is on your doorstep. You can just pick up the phone and click a button and it comes to you. So I think this is definitely something we need to look at for ourselves as to where we go with that, and how we can bring the Reset Fitness concept to the people. Whether that is in a form of a studio, or whether that is something where we can go into schools, or into, you know, integrate it into bigger office buildings. That for me is because it's all about convenience, right? People don't want to go too far. People don't want to travel too far. So I feel, in terms of where is it going, there will always be new concepts coming along, and have we kind of come up with the ultimate fitness or exercise? Probably not. I mean, just this morning I was speaking to one of our coaches who coaches trampolining in a pool. I mean, I've done trampolining on a trampoline, right? Mini bounce. And he says now they're putting these into the water. So I was like, interesting. So I'd like to go and try that. So there's always going to be some new things coming along, right? But I think what we are good at is covering all the basics. And that's what the big mass of people will require. You know, you have your super athletes, and then you have the people that probably will never do exercise, for whatever reason, right? But there's a big belt in the middle, who I feel are definitely the people that we want to be working with.
They're like sitting on the fence,
yes,
unsure what to do. Yeah.
Well, maybe won't be athletes, yeah, because possibly, you know, they've never had that athlete mindset from a young age.
And that's fine, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you don't need to be an athlete, right? But also, you know, they may have sort of slacked for quite a long time, and then to bring yourself into that, I think that's quite hard. That is where the challenge lies.
No, that is very true, and I think you've hit the nail on the point. There is, we need to go, not just us, but fitness needs to go to the people.
Yes.
Rather than always relying on the person coming to the brick and mortar kind of structure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much today, Tina, for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure for a first episode. Thank you very much, and much appreciated for your time.
Yes, pleasure. Thank you.
This is Reset Fitness. Get fit for life.